Hey everybody, it's Pete. Good morning. It's Wednesday morning, December 16th, 2020. Welcome to a new episode of today's Best Stock Picks. And today we actually have the FOMC, which means there's going to be a lot of indecision after lunchtime today. Generally speaking, the morning is fine, but here's the big thing. The days after the FOMC are usually very, very good days to trade. Usually get a little bit of clarity back on what they're thinking. Typically, whatever direction we end up heading in is a good trade for Thursday afternoon, Friday, right through Monday and Tuesday. You get some nice echo that we call it. So what's the point of that? If you're day trading, be very specific about your ideas today. Make sure there's good volume and volatility so it warrants your money, warrants your attention. If you're swing trading, you're going to get some pretty easier trades, better setups after the announcement, and see a nice little cash flow after that. So that's today, the FOMC today. Today's trade is one that we haven't called in a while, which really sounds weird because Apple has not really been on our list. It's basically been languishing since right after the stock split. It really hasn't given us an opportunity. We had 120 as the level that we've been watching, finally punched through 120, then danced around that level again for about a week. And now actually yesterday it traded into what we call a fuel candlestick, where it broke out on volume, big energy candlestick. And now has the next level of around 138, which is roughly $11 as the next target that we'd be looking for. So we're going to take a look at Apple. We're going to take a look at a few other stocks. By the way, if you find these videos helpful, definitely attend tonight's webinar. I'm actually going to be teaching the New York method live tonight. We're going to be talking about the difference between chart reading and tape reading, and why most chart readers struggle and fail, and why tape reading is kind of like the next level. Click down below, subscribe to the webinar. I'd love to see you there tonight. So we're going to head on over to the charts. We're going to take a look at today's list. One big stock, big group that we traded yesterday, which was just a phenomenal idea right out of the gate, which was the solar stocks. We're going to take a look and see which ones have the highest probability of following through today. So Apple, you can see here, punched through, consolidated for a couple of days, right at the same $20 breakout. You can see we've actually had 120 in here since September. Got above it, couldn't stay there, failed a couple of times. Finally punched through here in the beginning of December, and then languished there again. But it looks like we got a nice fuel candlestick now. It looks like it's opening a little bit lower, but I still like the new swing trade up towards the 138 level, which is over here as the first target. Following up from yesterday, hopefully you got a couple of the stocks that we called yesterday. We had DQ on the list, and it actually traded into one of the biggest days that it's had really in the last 6 months. Really, really nice push. So what is the trade today? It's a little bit late today to initiate a new trade. So what I'd be looking for is a consolidation day, looking for the next push. You might be able to get one more day out of it, but this is one of those situations where we'd say the stock is super obvious. And the reason I say this, it looks like it's the first day that it actually broke out, but the stock went double what it normally does in one day, if not 2.5 times. So in that particular instance, you have to put some context on the move, where yesterday was amazing. Yesterday was a good trade. If you're long and got long yesterday on the from yesterday's game plan, absolutely great. Hang on to it. You have the right entry, which was right around the previous day's high, which at this point now is $7 ago. That's a big difference. You don't want to be $7 late if you look to initiate a new trade today. If you are still long, though, you can continue to trail up that stop loss. BIDU makes it into the list today, something we haven't actually watched in a while either. Let me see if I can type that in properly. Let me actually switch that up so it's easier. BIDU in the list today. Now, the challenge with BIDU, if you look to the left, there is some room to go, right? We're actually just cleared this level at 180. The challenge now is the optimal entry was here. We had a push and a pause right around 144, and now we're at 188 with the parabolic move yesterday, and not surprisingly, a spike in volume. So that is technically what we call exhaustion. So what does exhaustion mean? Normally it's known as a cleanup print. It's whatever buying pressure pushed this stock higher. We don't want to get into the news right now. We're just looking at reading the tape. That typically means the end of that order happened. Now, does that mean that you just bail on the trade? No, because you have an obvious situation moving in your favor. So what that means is today BIDU will be a good day trading stock because of the volume and the volatility. It will be good to move higher a trailing stop and keep moving it higher as it moves in your favor, which is opening significantly higher or set to open significantly higher. But you don't want to initiate a new swing trade here because the odds of following through over the next 3 to 5 days are lower. So you want to wait for that pause before you look to add a new one. But what's super interesting about this is you're going to be able to use the information that we gave in today's episode of Stocks for Breakfast, which is setting up your watch list to know which stocks are the right stocks to be in right now based on tape reading, based on the order flow, and based on where they're trading today. This stock has a very good chance of being positive by a pretty good amount, percentage-wise and dollar amount, but might be negative from today's trading, which would make it not a good opportunity unless that reverses itself. So interesting situation there from a day trading and swing trading perspective in BIDU today. QS traded into one of our favorite patterns, pulled back, paused, looking for it to follow through here over yesterday's high. Hopefully you took advantage of this one yesterday. I got a couple of comments about the stock kept going down, and I said, no, it's in a position where the lower opening is the one that we want to buy. And just to give you some context on what Snow did, this was the morning, super obvious entry in the morning, and just a really nice, good, clean $18 move just in the morning after the entry happened during the day. So we're looking for some follow through on Snow here today as well. Let's see, VRM, not one that I normally call out, and just looking at the chart, like, what are you looking at, right? High, lower lows, lower highs, pushing all the way down, right? But there's something called accumulation, which after a prolonged downtrend, a stock will trade sideways into a consolidation, and during that consolidation, there's tighter ranges but heavier volume, and that usually means money is trading into smart money hands. And this is really what makes the difference between being a trader and being a tape reader from somebody who just reads charts. If you don't start to pay attention to this spike in volume, spike in volume, spike in volume, spike in volume, the stock is bottoming out. That is a clear picture of distribution. So if we look to the opposite side of this, we're looking for basically an $18 move off of where it is right now, which means we're looking in the mid 50s, which would ironically take us right up into this area, maybe a little bit higher. So good lesson there in the difference between just reading the charts and reading the tape. And that's really what you want to learn how to do, which means you need to be in tonight's webinar. Solar stocks and the ones that we talked about that were just exploding yesterday. We're looking for some follow through here again today. Now, again, very similar to what we just talked about in BIDU. Some of them went double what they normally do, which means you have to consider that 2 days worth of price action. So whether you're actively day trading or swing trading them is going to make a difference. Interphase was the strongest of the sector yesterday as far as going into the day, the stock looked good, and you can see where it's funny. We're actually moving up the trailing stop, and moving up the trailing stop, and moving up the trailing stop, all because of that one little secret that we teach today. JKS was another one, and this is the most interesting one because you can see here period September through October, it was incredibly, incredibly obvious. Has been the tape changed for a while, and heading into yesterday, it actually looked like it was going to break down, but because of what we watched during the day, it popped up in our list. And just look at that. When you're in the right stocks at the right time, trading just becomes fun and magical. And this is one of the things about understanding how to be a pro and how to be prepared. It wasn't in my game plan, but it was in my watch list. And once my watch list was screaming to me that this sector is strong today, it's one of those situations where you get these amazing one-day opportunities and you take advantage of them. CHWY is another one that popped through, was in yesterday's list. Gave us one of our optimal entries yesterday. You could still look to be long this stock today too. Win, actually, I'd love to trade the stock when it's obvious, maybe getting a little bit more obvious right now. You can see here, it finally broke through multi-month, losing my, finally broke through multi-month all the way back to February and finally got above and closed above it today. So is this an aggressive long today because it punched through this level? No, it's definitely a long, but not an aggressive long. So we're going to start building a position through this level right now. Eli Lilly also in the game plan this week, where we said a nice push and a pause, and hopefully you took advantage of that. Now, the challenge is it just traded into a resistance area. So we're looking for a pause here and then looking for the next push, but really interesting trade when you get that. Pfizer all over the news for the last 3 or 4 days and actually trades down, kind of frustrating for those new traders that don't understand the difference between reading the tape and what should happen based on the news. I got more email than you can imagine about, I don't understand why Pfizer's not going up today. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. If it's going down, you shouldn't be buying it. You should be waiting for it to do exactly what Lilly did yesterday. Upwork, Really good clean breakout above 36, and you can see that we're actually trading now into all-time highs. And because 36 was the level of the breakout, we are now actually going to be gauging the next move, which should be roughly $10 from here. So we're looking at basically 48 as the next target. We're going to finish up with Etsy. Etsy actually meets the criteria for looking for a new long as well. And again, if we go out to the longer term charts, you can see where we are. We're actually at or near all-time highs here as well. So some really good opportunities. Looking for some follow through there and a few of the stocks we called yesterday, and some new breakouts. Win will definitely be on my watch list today, as well as QS. QS will be one. Now, what's interesting about QS, you got to remember QS and stock we called out last week when it had some positive headlines. We also called the top, which was LAZR, Luminar. The bloom is off that onion. There's not even a question. We kept looking for a spot for it to reverse. Never gave us the signal. That's the big part that I want to talk about. We did kind of get a alert, so to speak, in price action yesterday by reading the tape in QS. So it needs to trade in our direction. We don't want to buy it on the way down. If it's trading down, just because it's in the list doesn't mean we buy it. We need a little bit of positive confirmation. We need some feedback from the market, and then we'll hop all over QS if we get that again today. So we got FOMC today. We're looking at Apple to see if we get follow through, and we have that webinar tonight. You definitely want to click down and register. It's definitely going to be worth your time. So if you have any questions, let me know, and click subscribe to the channel. That would be awesome. Have a great day, everyone.